All right. Okay, hello, my name is Nancy Rizo. I'm the clinical coordinator for the Radiological Technology program, and I'll let Manny introduce himself.
And I'm Manny. I'm a faculty member for HIA, so I teach all the cooking classes.
So we're going to be talking about making technology the prime tools in your classroom, and this can apply both remote and in person as well. So Manny and I are actually also co-chairs of the Greening the Campus committee. So not only are these tools that we're going to be talking about useful in the classroom, but they also help our environment. Paper does make up about 25% of municipal solid waste or trash generated each year, more than any other material. So by using a lot of these tools, we're also decreasing our solid waste material.
Yeah, and there's nothing worse
than
so
some of the tools that we're going to
be Sorry, there's nothing worse than handing out all those papers to everyone and then just leave it in class right when they leave.
Yes, so especially exams, so we're trying to decrease all those costs also. So we're going to be talking about some tools to use for discussion boards, videos, labs, test reviews, and some additional courses that may be helpful to you. One of the things that I like to use in my classroom as discussion boards, so I'll use discussion boards in my class, and sometimes I like to change it a little bit, and I like to use Flipgrid. So Flipgrid is actually a really simple tool to use. You create a free account. You do need an account to log in, and you basically still use your discussion prompt. Just like you were doing a discussion board, you still put your instructions, except the students record themselves. You can set up the time that you want your recordings. Usually it's about 4 to 6 minutes that you can, I think, maximum time for the recordings, but you can set your recordings for any time. And the students will record a video on the discussion prompt, and then they can reply to students through the discussion board. So I will show you a little example here. So for my discussion board, it was clinical advice for the clinical setting. You can set up a password. So if you have multiple classes, different sections, you can put a password so that only they use that. So they only use that one Flipgrid
section.
So section, yes, thank you. So here I put my prompt, and then the student will hit to record a response. And they really get into it. They really like it. So I found that they, something to switch it up a little bit. They really enjoy doing these. So they recorded themselves. You can add little tags here, stickers. So they included these, and then they can like and they can comment also. So they can comment if they have questions on anything on their discussion board. Also, you, as an instructor, you can see the amount of views, the responses, the hours of engagement. So you can actually see how much they've engaged. So for this one, I got 18.4 hours of engagement. So the way you can share it, what I like to do is that they give you a link, you can share it and then just embed it into your Blackboard course shell. So, or you can put it in your discussion board as well. Just like a discussion board, and then just a different type of way of doing it. So like I said, my students really seem to enjoy this, just something different for them to do. And then feel free to ask us any questions that you guys have throughout our presentation as well. Another thing that I like to use is I like to use videos in my class. And I like to, sometimes you show video and you want to make sure your students are paying attention. So one of the things that you can do is you can add questions and prompts to your videos. So AddPuzzle is actually a good source to upload videos and then create discussions through this program. So you can also, you also have to create a free account. So I will show you how this works. So you create your account, you upload any video. It can be MP4 format or it could be a YouTube video. Once you upload it, you can select where you want your prompts, and you can add multiple choice, you can add open-ended questions, and you can insert them anywhere in your video. And I will show you this video. This is a recycling video that we did here at Triton. I'll just take a second.
Recycling is important because it's not just about me. There is no need to separate recycling at Triton. Wherever you find a blue recycling bin, you can put paper, cardboard, glass and plastic bottles, and aluminum cans all in one.
So then your question that you selected will pop up. For example, this one, what item is recyclable at Triton College? So there's two ways that you can do this. You can assign, you can create a classroom within AddPuzzle and assign this as an assignment to your students. I personally like to do this as a classroom, so whenever I show a video, a short video in the class, I like to do this as a discussion. So you can grade this, or you can just use it in the class. So let's say they chose the right answer, cans, they submit their answer, and you can select the amount of points that you want to provide for this type of assignment. So for example, for this question, I just put 100, and they'll show 100 out of 100. They can rewatch that section again if they didn't catch the answer, or they can skip it as well.
And remember, if you're in the cafeteria and you get lunch to go, take out cups and containers, whether they're paper, plastic, or styrofoam, are not recyclable. Other items that are not recyclable are plastic bags of any kind, including the bags that snacks come in, like potato chips and candy. So if you're not...
So for this one, I included an open-ended question because I wanted my classroom to have an open discussion. So I would pause the video normally and then say, what are some ways you can pack your lunch to eliminate waste? So this will create some type of discussion within your classroom. And I find this nice, having the questions pop up, because the students can visually see it as well, but they also know that when I show a video, they should be listening because questions are going to pop up. So they should be paying attention because I may call on them, or we might have a classroom discussion.
Yeah, that's the problem that I had in the beginning, right? Everyone just kind of walked away from the computer. They would just log in, and then, you know, it would take like 2 minutes, or I wouldn't wait 2 minutes, but I would have to call that person like 4 times, and then they would come into the discussion and then participate. But
exactly.
Yeah, this is helpful.
If you're not sure whether something is recyclable, it's better to put it in the trash. When in doubt, throw it out. So around the campus, in your classroom, in the hallways, and in all the common areas, you'll find blue recycling bins.
And then for this question, if you don't have a recycling bin, who do you call? So for example, this question wasn't necessarily in the video, but it can also help create a question for students to think about a solution. So let's put the wrong answer in here. So it'll tell you you've got 0 out of 100 points. Again, you can select the amount of points. So if you were assigning this to your students as an assignment and they were doing it on their own, it will give their grade automatically. They will show a grade for all of your students at the end of their video. So if you use this as an assignment, it'll keep track like a grade book.
Do your part and help us out. Recycling is a way that you can help save the planet.
All right. So I find this helpful not only in remote learning, but I also like to use it in classroom as well, in-person classrooms. So now the nice thing about it now is that actually YouTube has included this in as an actual step, so you don't have to go to AddPuzzle if you don't want to assign it as an assignment. So if you want to include this in your live classes, and I'll show you in just a second. It gives you, Oh, hold on, they took it off. Once you share it, you can actually, oh, hold on, maybe it's not here anymore. You could actually do it through YouTube. Maybe it's only certain videos. Sorry, it was in here earlier. But you can actually use a YouTube video and then add the AddPuzzle. It'll show up. So maybe I guess it's only certain videos. So it'll show AddPuzzle and it'll show a little icon so you can use that video, and it might already have questions for you. They must have taken it off of this one, but you can also share it and include the questions in here. So you just have to look for that AddPuzzle on here, and it'll show you the questions already in there.
Yeah, and there's a lot of videos on there on how to do the...
Correct. So it's really nice because now once you go to YouTube, they have, you can just hit the AddPuzzle icon, but I think it only in certain videos they have it, and then you can reuse those videos as well.
So, right, we have to adapt, and this is how some of the classes look like now. So virtual class lab, in the beginning we weren't really allowed to be on campus, and then some classes are still blended, some are, so if I'm on campus, that's the best way to kind of demonstrate what I'm doing, right? In the kitchen, I have cameras. This was a setup. We actually did a live cooking class where we raised some money for scholarships. And it's a little intimidating at first because you have all these cameras and lights, but it's a simple request. If you feel comfortable in a lab setting with all this, you can definitely request one. Or a simple solution would be an IPvo. I normally get 2 IPvos. I'm using one right now, and a laptop, and I use it in the other kitchen. So then that way I can use that. So I can record myself doing a demo, or if space doesn't allow, if the space doesn't allow all the students to be around me, then I'll do the same thing, and then they can see it on the smartboard. So then that way we keep a 6-foot distance, or as far as we can. So technology has
and I've actually,
really
yes, and I've actually, sorry, I've also seen other instructors also use with iPads and record it that way, or with laptops. So it doesn't necessarily have to, you know, be with these type of cameras, but I've seen this used with other types of cameras as well. The useful thing about this is also it helps with student retention. So even with the videos, with recording your labs, if the student misses your class, they still have the option of coming back and reviewing the material, so they don't feel lost and miss a class, and now they feel like they have to drop your class because they've missed a lot of material.
Yeah, that's the nice part. It definitely allows us to have the resources there now, and it's like, look, if you don't understand it, let's look at the video again, and then we can go from there. Because life happens, right? People miss class. But.
Yes. Another thing, was there a question? I think I heard.
No, someone said my kids love Kahoot, Miss Murphy.
Yes.
But yes.
So
college students love Kahoot as well.
Yes, I know, exactly. At first I was like, I don't know, my kids use Kahudala, but I don't know if, you know, college students will like it, but I started using it in my classes, and I mainly use it for test reviews. And my students love it. Now they don't, before they would ask me, what's going to be on the test? You know, can you make us a study guide? I honestly don't get those questions anymore. Now what I get is, oh, do we have a Kahoot that we could study? So they actually, Kahoot did a study, and they found out that a music educator did a study, and they did find out that it does boost grades and understanding with student-paced challenges. And I'll talk about student-paced challenges in a second. But it does positively impact results and engagement. A lot of times what I like to do in order to engage my students is that I do offer some extra points for the top 3 winners. So a lot of times what I find is when I do my reviews before a test, they already come prepared because they want those extra points. They study the material and they come prepared compared to when I just give them a study guide and I tell them, these are the materials we're going to study and we're going to do a quick review in class. They want to win. They get competitive. So another thing I like to do, sometimes I'll tell them, I may put a question that may be on the test on the Kahoot game. So then they really do pay attention.
Yeah, and it's nice that they can always use it. Sorry, you're actually going to show them, right?
No, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's nice how you, yeah. So it's nice that you can actually use it afterwards and you can continue to play with it on your own until you take the test or quiz, whatever.
Correct. So a lot of the students, yeah, we'll do it in class and then they'll ask me, can I have the link because I want to go over those questions again. There was a question I didn't understand. So there's 2 ways you can do it. You can do it live in your class setting, and then you can also do a student-paced Kahoot. So the student-paced Kahoot is you would give them a link to your Kahoot game, and you could just post it in your Blackboard as a link so they have it in their Blackboard shell. And you assign, for example, I assigned this one was on Skull, and it'll tell you I had 26 players, and I added 24 questions. It'll tell me the questions the students had the most difficulties in. So then I know that I need to go back and reteach that material, or I need to clarify whatever question they had. So for example, I had 2 questions in which most of the students didn't do as well. So I can go back and look at those questions. It also gives me the students that need more help. So these students didn't actually do the Kahoot game, so they showed up as 0%. So I can go back and talk to them and ask them, you know, did you not have time or did you not understand? And then that way I can stay on top of the students to make sure they don't get behind. And then you can also view the podium, so you can see your top 3 winners. So sometimes I will share my podium and say, oh, these 3 people won, because they do like to get the credit. So I'll post it under announcements and then share it. Congratulations to the top 3 winners. They really like that as well. And if we have time, we will do a Kahoot at the end. And you can see how we could do a live Kahoot remotely. Any questions with Kahoot?
Julie Murphy commented that she did her first final review on Kahoot, and her students loved it. I know it seems silly in the beginning, but it actually helps. It makes it a little bit fun.
Yes. I actually had the students on this last, for midterms, for this week, I had them all create a short Kahoot, and I like that they created their own because they all have different ideas of what they're struggling with, and then we added them to one shell so they could take whatever Kahoot they wanted. And it was really nice because I even had a couple students say, oh, do you have any more Kahoots? I really like the questions that some of the students were sharing because I didn't even think of that question. So I like that the students can actually also do their own Kahoots, because sometimes I may have a clear understanding of what they do understand, but then they ask other questions. Okay, so we'll come back if we have a chance and we'll do a Kahoot. Manny, do you want to talk about Blackboard Collaborate?
Yeah, so Blackboard Collaborate, right? I mean, every single time we log in, at least we see something different. In the beginning, it was a little intimidating. It was just, I didn't really use it as much in the lab classes, but now it's a great tool, right? Like the best part of all this is that it allowed us to be better instructors, to learn what resources are out there, and you know, Blackboard Collaborate is great. And then when you log in, you can create, you can change the guest roles. You know, many of you might already know this, but some don't. It's a simple little task where just changing the guest role allows the students to then also participate and show their screen. And then you can invite anyone else if you feel like you want a guest speaker or anything else. You can just send it out through email. So little simple things. And then, like for my case, I'll have the laptop and I'll have my phone or something else connected so they can see different views of the demonstration that I'm doing. So then, that allows them to see the different angles and, you know, a more personal experience, I guess.
I also like to do the 2 devices, but I like to do it because when you're presenting, you can't see. Well, at least now the questions pop up sometimes on the Blackboard update that they did, but I can see the students' faces, and when you're presenting, you can't see that. So that's why I like to do the 2 devices, so I can see the roles, and I can also call on students. So I can have the roster, and then I can call on the students looking at the roster. That's why I like to have 2 devices.
So
also, if students are
sorry, if you have a touchscreen, then you're able to then, you know, show the math problem a little bit easier than just explaining it or typing it.
Exactly.
For those.
And if they're doing presentations, you can change their role so they can actually share their screen also. So that's the other advantage of doing the guest or the guest role also.
So something simple.
We wanted to bring this.
Yeah, this was what? Is this the Google?
Yeah, Google Chrome.
No, yeah. So something simple, is to use the Google Chrome. It seems to be the easiest way to actually share your screen without having any difficulties, right? A lot of times it's easier said than done, and then you're in the classroom, and then stuff happens, you get distracted, or your internet's not properly working, this and that. So I think the one we found that had the least difficulties was sharing the Google screen, and that way you can share the audio at the same time, right, without it being like an echo effect.
Correct. And then we did want to also bring this up in case you weren't aware. We did have a lot of questions when we did present this last semester on sharing applications and screens. So we did highlight this in red to hit this icon in order to share the application screen. I also screenshotted this for my students so that way when they did have to present, if we did presentations, they had this available as well.
So whenever we do switch over to that Google Chrome, it's important to click that share audio. It does make a difference, right? You don't have that echo effect, so it makes it enjoyable, especially when if you're putting a video or anything.
Yes, especially if you use a Mac. Yeah, if you use a Mac, sometimes you won't get the same type of share screen, so you have to make sure that you hit share audio.
So Nancy, I just saw a question. Mohammed, you had a question. If we can use it in the science courses, right? Is you talking about the Kahoot, or what were you talking about?
Yes.
Yes, Kahoot is free. So it has some limitations. If you want to add videos and different more things to it, you can pay for it, but it's free. The free option has a lot of things you can do with it. So.
Okay, thank you.
And what I found too is you can actually go just under Discover in Kahoot and find a lot of other Kahoots that other instructors have made that are public, and you can use those and then just kind of edit them to fit your classroom or your whatever semester that you're teaching or material you're teaching that semester.
Yeah, so it might be a little bit of work to get the questions set up and implemented in there, but then it makes it so much easier. The next semester, you just keep on using it and update the questions as needed.
Yes.
So
what I do...
Hold on.
What I do is that I put it into my Blackboard shell, so to whatever review session I'm doing, and then I leave it in my Blackboard shell. So when I copy it over to the next semester, I know that I already have a Kahoot. So you can reuse them as often as you want.
So there is no copyright infringement or issue with that if I use it?
No, as long as you leave it as public, you can share the Kahoot. Yes. Oh, and speaking of that, they're actually having next Wednesday. They're having a free professional development day. So if you register for this free virtual class, they will show you how to use Kahoot in your remote setting. So I think it's actually a hybrid setting. So I would definitely encourage that. They are having this one next on the 17th, March 17th.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Another thing that I started using this semester is called Rocketbook. So this is an app and it's free. The app is free. You can purchase a notebook here that's reusable, and it comes with this pen that's also provides the reusable ink, or you can actually download paper from their website. And for example, they have graph paper, line paper, and music paper. You can insert it into one of those plastic folders, and then use the reusable markers to write on it, and you can use it as like an overhead. So this is the notebook that I have, and you can write things and erase things as you're going. So I'll show you how I use it in my classroom. So this is a similar setup that I have. So if you ever want to show them something, because I know sometimes with Blackboard that feature to paint is very difficult, so you can just use your pen. For example, if you want to show some type of equation and just briefly, you can set up your phone, you open up your app, and then you can show your phone, and whatever you're writing will show up on your screen. So when you're sharing your screen, your students can also see it. When you go to the app, it gives you a specific link so that only you and your students or whoever you're sharing to can see it. So let me share that really quick. Okay, so this is kind of what it shows up. The only thing, it does take like 2 or 3 seconds for it to show up. So I just put hi, how are you? But it will, and then you can erase as you're going. So sometimes you want to draw something and it's kind of hard to do it on that Blackboard screen. This is something that I would recommend, and it's free. So, and it's not bulky, so it's not like you have to, you know, borrow an overhead from this college and bring it over, especially if you don't use it that often.
So you said you just need a pen for this?
Yeah, so you just need a special pen, and it comes with it, and there's different colors. And then as you're writing, you can write, and then it comes with a little special eraser, and then you just erase it. So it's a reusable notebook. If you don't want to purchase the notebooks, and the notebooks anywhere from $20 to $40 depending on the type of notebook that you want. But if you don't want to use the notebook, you can use these free papers from their website. So you go to rocketbook.com and you just print the graph paper, the line paper, or the music paper, and you can just put it in one of those plastic dividers and then use a reusable marker and do it that way. And you can still stream it that way. So I found that helpful in my class.
Yeah, so Julie Murphy just asked if you need to buy the notebook and the pen, but you just mentioned how you can download the paper and print it out, or you just put it in between plastic. You just need to buy the pen, correct?
No, well, if you use the free paper, you don't need the special pen.
Okay.
Basically, it comes with a barcode. So the barcode is the one that's going to help stream it. So when you print this paper, it'll have a special barcode, and then that's what helps stream it. You can use any type of marker or paper if you're using the reusable paper or the printed paper here. If you're using the notebook, then you do need the special marker in order to be able to erase it off of your notebook. So it is a reusable notebook. I loved it. I got it for Christmas, actually. So it has a planner in here. It has a lot of things, and it will save all of your documents. So if you write something on here and you want to save it, you can upload it to the app, and it keeps all of your forms on the app. So that's another nice thing, too. All right. Any other questions with Rocketbook? And with all of these things, I would recommend just kind of playing with them and see how they work in your classroom. Even if you only do one of these items in your classroom this semester, it'll be really useful to at least just try one of these.
I do have a question on Rocketbook.
Yeah.
I looked it up, the cost and everything, while you were showing it, and they have so many questions. Which one would be a good start, a good beginner one to get? Do you have any idea?
I like the Rocketbook Fusion. So it's a smaller notebook. It's not like a big 8x10 notebook. It's a smaller, maybe, I don't know, 5x8 maybe. I like it because it can fit in anywhere, and it's just the perfect size for me. Then the app that you can download is free.
Okay.
So basically, you're just spending money on a notebook, and then they can always and then you can buy the same pen. So for example, I have the colored pens also.
Okay, thank you. That sounds very.
I'm breaking.
I'm gonna try that.
Yes, that's definitely something I would recommend to look at it. I've found it very helpful so far. All right, so Manny's going to talk about Eportfolios and how you can use them in your classroom.
All right, so what I'm trying to do, and this is actually something that I learned about was by taking a CTE class. Someone brought up using Google Sites. So, right, going through the tenure process, like we needed to create a portfolio ourselves. So I ended up doing it online because I found it really hard to really show what I was doing on paper, because I have tons of pictures, tons of videos of the actual class and what we've been doing. So I kind of wanted to take the same thing and do the ePortfolio, and this allows the student to kind of get an idea of how simple it is. It might be to create a simple website, and a lot of them end up using the same tools to do their own personal business after they finish, or they can they'll continue to use it. But with this ePortfolio, what I ended up doing was can I share the screen, or is it?
Yeah, let me stop sharing mine so you can show yours. Okay,
so
go ahead.
Then I just go to hiaportfolio.com, and then it's more of like a. Okay, so then I have this ePortfolio, and my goal is to kind of have them collect all the data and all the things that they're actually learning throughout their 2 years at Triton. Because I feel like a lot of students take a class and then they forget what they learned because they're studying to pass the test, and then they just focus on the new class. And then by the time they're done, it's like, well, what did I do 2 years ago? So this kind of collects all their information, and then they can use it to hopefully show their employer or anyone that they want to. So then I have them collect all the resume in case they have a job opportunity. They have the latest resume. We use SMART goals. I want them to focus on their 1, 5, and 10-year goals. A lot of the students that I have are either want to open up a business or just I want to see where they're at, and then this allows me to really know where to help them, because every person has a different goal. So a lot of them at least have wishes versus goals, and this really helps them have a straight path, and then that way they go towards that. And if it changes tomorrow, it changes tomorrow, but at least they have an idea of where they're heading versus just kind of swimming around and not really knowing where they're going, right? And then any certifications that they have, they can start accumulating all that. I have the instructions on how they're going to get started, so everything's kind of provided for them, so that way they can just do that. There's videos, and then it'll be a collection of all their classes that they've taken at some point. So then that way, depending on what it is that they're covering, that's what's expected from them in that section. But they're a little intimidated at first because creating a website sounds intense. I was too. But after they actually get started, it's almost like creating a PowerPoint. It's not much harder. Mm-hmm. So, has anyone used a portfolio in their classes? It's not yet.
And And you can use Eportfolios in basically any type of course. I know in the health field, a lot of the instructors have used Eportfolios, so it's just kind of nice to have accumulation of their work throughout the semester.
They can always look back.
Yes. All right. Another thing that you can use for Eportfolios is Voicethread. You can also use it for flipped, blended, and hybrid classes. For Voicethread, and I will show you in just 1 second. So for Voicethread, it's also a free website, so you can use this. It's a free website. You can basically upload your PowerPoint, or you can have your students upload a PowerPoint and do something interactive. So for this one, the instructor made this presentation, and she included prompts within the presentation. So for example, looking at this patient position for the lumbar spine, are they properly positioned, and explain. So basically, you will share a link to your presentation through Voicethread with your students, and then they can comment on your presentation. So for example, for this question, they would just hit add comment. They can either add a text response, they can phone in their response, they can record audio or a video, or they can upload. So maybe they found an interesting article about this question, they can also upload it as well. The nice thing about it is that you can see their comments on the left side, and if they include a picture, you can see them, but it gives you the time and their interaction, and then it'll show you their response. So this is also like a discussion board, but it's also very interactive. So maybe if they don't know the question or the answer, they can look at other responses to see how that student arrived at that response. And throughout this presentation, the instructor included material, and then after their material, she would always ask a question so the students could respond. And that's kind of how the presentation went. You can record audio on top of your presentation as well. You can hit play, and then you can read it to your students. So not only can they hear the presentation, but they can also view the presentation visually. So it helps with a lot of different types of learners as well. And all you have to do to share the presentations is it just gives you a link. So it'll give you a link, and then only the people that have the link can access it. Any questions with the Voicethread? Okay. Voicethread also has a lot of free workshops, and it tells you, so if you go to their website, it'll give you workshops that are pre-recorded as well, and how you can use it for your hybrid classes, how to use it for flipped classrooms or blended classrooms as well. So they have about over 20 workshops, and they're all free, and they usually have live ones too. So it's really nice on how you can try to incorporate it into your classroom. Also, if you haven't had the chance to, the Blackboard CTE resources and the online pedagogy training class is really useful to try to use a lot of these products to try to put it into Blackboard. I would definitely recommend those courses as well. I learned a lot while taking those classes. And I don't know if you guys knew also, but Blackboard does have a YouTube page. So if you ever have any questions on anything on Blackboard, they have a YouTube page, and you can basically find any type of answer on there. I honestly have to say that I've used their YouTube page very often. Here is a list of other links that are similar. Has anyone used Quizlet in their classroom, or have heard the students talk about Quizlet? Yeah, it's kind of like nice. So I feel like it's kind of like Kahoot and more for students to review, but there's a lot of tools that we can use. So I think our suggestion for everyone would be just to at least choose one thing to use in their classroom and just play around with it and see how it best fits your classroom. Does anyone have any questions? No? All right. Is there anything that you've used in your classroom that maybe you'd like to share with us, that it's worked or hasn't worked?
This kind of feels like a regular classroom sometimes when there's silence.
All right.
Good.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. And please let us know if you guys have any questions. Feel free to answer any questions.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.